Well, hey, folks, what's happening, fellers? All right, let's see here. There we go. Let's see who was in first today. The beginning of a new week. We're going to be talking about tones a little bit today. I'm going to be asking you about your rhythm tones, rhythm guitar tones. I'm going to be asking Evan. He's got the big eyes right now. Let's see here. I've got a thing where I can show comments just as they come. Hell yeah, we get the little comment thing there. Keep it clean, folks. Warren says, about that time. Hey, Warren, how you doing? Good to see you. Good to see you. Let's see here. Who else we got in here? Phil's here. Hey, Phil. Great to see you. Everybody's, it says, evening, Lee and everyone. Hope you're all doing well. Yeah, good to see you. We're doing good. We're doing good. Steven's here. Hey, hey, Steven. Let's see if we got is that Dean? I think Dean's here. Dean says, hello, howdy, Dean. Okay, let's see here. I think I'm going to take that on the screen stuff off. Let me see if, no, that didn't change anything. Let me, there we go. Now I can see all your comments. Well, it's great to see everybody today. We're going to be talking about getting rhythm guitar tones. I'm going to ask you about your favorite rhythm guitar tone. Which ones do you use? Do you set up a pedal board? Do you use a modeler? Do you just use amps? What do you use? I'll tell you what I'm going to use in a few minutes. But I want to start with you all first. What's your favorite tone? Is it a half dirty, half clean? Is it a saturated Marshall type sound? Is it more of a a heavy, harder rock sound? Is it clean? Do you like atmospheric guitar? Do you set up those things? I'll talk about me. I have basically 4 tones that I use, and it's like an A and B off of 2 different tones. I have a clean tone, and then off of the clean tone, I have a semi-dirty tone, like a blues. Usually it's a tube screamer. Something that pushes the mids a little bit, right? If you turn that off, hear how the mids go right, it goes right down to like a scooped sound. As soon as I put the tube screamer on, it gets a little bit more of a throaty sound to it. And if you take an amp, a Fender type amp, and turn it up, that's kind of what happens. So speakers are getting overloaded, and you get a kind of it's still bright, but it's got a distortion to it, and it's got kind of a throaty sound to it. So so that's on my one side. I have a clean sound, which is like modeled after Fender, not always using Fenders, but that style sound with a little bit of breakup, and then some sort of a drive on that. On the other side, I have my Marshall type sound, and it could be a Marshall amp, could be the actual drive from that. It could be my, I like to use the exotic BB preamp and AC booster together. You put them together and you get a really, really cool, Marshall type sound. So that would be my dirty rhythm sound. That kind of a thing. So it's a little bit more than just crunch. It's a little bit more than AC/DC. It's got a little bit there to it. So something where I can get my attack really quiet, and you start to hear where it cleans up. And the harder I hit it, the more saturation I get. And then my last tone of the 4 tones, there was the clean. There was the clean with the tube screamer. There's the Marshall, and then there's a Marshall with something boosting it. So on this, I have to simulate that. Let's see here. Here it is without the. There's my Marshall without the boost. And then you put the tube screamer in. I had it in before by accident. Now, I don't always use a tube screamer for that. A lot of times I will use just a boost pedal. I have the EP boosters. I really like them. I have them on 2 different boards that I have. And I have those before the overdrives. And what that does, if you put the booster after the overdrive, it just does volume. It just takes that sound and makes it higher, right? But if you put it before your distortions and boost there, what it does is it puts more of the guitar into the distortion. So it's going to distort a little bit more, and it's going to get a little louder too. And it's going to compress a little bit. So I have those 4 tones. I use them, and almost any song, I can get the bass tone for that. I've got the clean, I've got the kind of tube screamery clean overdrive, I've got the Marshall, and then I've got the boosted Marshall right there. From totally pristine clean all the way up to screaming. Let's see, we got some comments. Let me see if anybody's putting it in there. Let's see. Let's see here. Evan says, looking forward to this. Okay. Well, we're here. Evan says, I like a true clean. And that I'll push with an overdrive sometimes. Of course, I'll distort it sometimes too. So is that true clean your total bass tone, or is it a type of amp where you can go back and forth? I think I know the answer to this, but I'm asking it anyway. So are you doing it all with pedals, or does your amp have a clean and a distortion in there? Are you getting amp distortion or pedal distortion? I used to use that. I used to use amp distortion. I would, like this Marshall here, it's got tons of distortion on it. But then I found that when I was using the amp distortion, I was always putting a pedal on it anyway to make the lead tones just sound right. It was that mix of a pedal and the amp distortion. And then I found some pedals that did it just as well, and no one ever knows the difference. And it's much more consistent now. But there's kind of the 2 ways of thinking about this. For rhythm guitar tone, do you have a clean amp or do you have a distorted amp? In a clean amp, you're adding things into it. You're putting distortion in it. You're pushing the amp. You're making it do things it wasn't supposed to do. But on the other side, like a Marshall type amp or a high gain amp, that sometimes you're taking away. Sometimes you'll set, like the Allman Brothers would do. They would set all their amps up, so when you rolled your volume all the way up, you're getting the loudest, biggest lead sound that you can get. And then as you roll back, you get all sorts of little different sounds, little different tones, half distorted, kind of clean, maybe a little. Now I'm up on about 8 or 9 now, so I can get clean. And then when I slam it, distortion, right? So Hendrix would do this a lot too. He put on a fuzz or some sort of distortion and turn all the way down and then roll up just a little bit. Notice it gets clean when I lighten my touch. So you have control using your volume there. So there's the two different ways. John says, I say that back to you, man. Let's see here. Dean says clean with reverb, delay, and a blues driver. An occasional equalizer. So is the equalizer, I'm assuming the equalizer is for boosting, right? For like a lead sound, right? Or maybe it is to we're going to be talking about low end a lot today. I have a rehearsal tonight right after this, so I'm not going for hours and hours, but we will be going at least to the top of the hour here. So I want to know about that EQ pedal there. Definitely a little reverb. Yeah, a little reverb. Phil uses an amp sync called S-Gear. I do as well too, from Scuffum Amps. Yes, I have been using that for a long time through my Reaper DAW. I use Reaper as well too. How about that, Phil? In standalone mode, yeah, endless variety of tones and styles. There's a lot of cool tones in that S gear. I think it's the only one of the software plugins that I've bought. I bought, all the other ones I have trials and I've gotten free ones and all those things. But the Scuffum one I like so much I bought. And so if I run direct, I can do that. But I don't run direct very often. And here's why. I found that if I just go in and plug into my board and record myself clean and then later on go and try and find a tone for my guitar, I end up spending hours and hours and hours and hours on it and tweak this and tweak that. And I found that I get better results from getting a tone that I like up front and, making that decision and sticking with it. I spend the time up front to get it so that later on I don't have to go down that road of indecision there. So let's see here. I'm using a 2-rock add-in. Love it. Awesome. John says clean sometimes. Okay. Sometimes. I get it. The amp has a dirty channel, but I use pedals for all my tones. Okay. Yeah. I do that too. I do that right now too. I didn't used to do that. And like I said before, it's very consistent. I have an amp in the other room. It's a fancy amp. I took it to a fancy gig, and the electricity in that place was not good, and it was getting very low voltage, and the fancy amp didn't sound so fancy when I did that. So it was clean. All I could get was clean. It wasn't getting the overdrive that the amp was supposed to get. So I ended up using pedals with it anyway, and it saved the day. I just kept doing that there. So Warren says I use the driven Marshall sound through ToneX. I'm interested in those ToneX little guys. Do you have the little mini pedal, or do you have the big ToneX deal there? I have a rehearsal for my band on each week, and this week I have an old Pod HD 500X that I haven't really ever used it. I bought it and just couldn't get anything out of it, and I figured, you know what, I don't want to carry the heavy amp, so I'm just going to bring that over there and just see what I get. And I've got some really good tones out of that thing. It's not a Helix. It's from before the Helix stuff. But there's some good sounds in there, for a rehearsal, definitely. But the ToneX, I'm interested in that too. That's something that I have not. I may get one of those one of these days. Let's see here. Let me keep going. Okay, so Dean's using his EQ pedal to put some mids into it, right? Kind of like a tube screamer does, or it can be a boost too. Cool. Phil says my favorite setting in S gear is called Heaven. Yes, I think I know that one. Mine, I fool with all of mine, so I started with the preset, and I don't really know what ended up. If it ended up sounding anything like what the preset was supposed to sound like. Maybe we'll bust out the S gear one day. That'd be fun. I'll do like a dual screen thing so you can see what I'm doing. That'll be a lot of fun. Except the reverb. I use the amp verb. I used to use the amp verb all the time too. I had these really nice spring reverb amps, and I played a lot of stages on, like flatbed truck stages, and stages that would go bounce, 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 and you'd be playing and someone would walk by your amp and all you hear was crash, bang, the springs and the spring reverb would go in that. So I unless I knew it was like a theater or something like that where I didn't have that problem, I have reverb pedals on everything, on every board, just in case. I've got the Hall of Fame on my little board. I've got all the Line 6 stuff on my big boards, both of them. And then one of my favorite is that Digitech Oh, where is it? We'll do a whole other thing on reverbs pretty soon. So Warren has the small one, the Tone X1. Yeah, I'm interested in that. I'm thinking about getting one of those, I think. John says you want to slide to sound clean too. Okay, your slide to sound clean too. Right. Evan says, I'll have to watch for stage stability. I have a reverb pedal, but it's not on my pedal board. Yeah, but when I was playing just bars, that was never a problem. It was when I started playing weird things, stuff with like little makeshift stages outdoor gigs. That's usually when everything went haywire for me. So that's why I went pedals. Phil says the only amp I own is one from Vox. It's a tube preamp called the Valvetronics VT40X, but don't use that too much. Okay. Yeah. I used to teach on one of the little Voxes. I forget the name, the teeny tiny ones. Let's see. James is here. What's happening, James? Good to see you. Hi, James. So Evan says we're still at the bar stage. Yeah, you don't need to go spin it. You got a nice reverb in your amp. You don't need to go do that. So a couple things we're talking about. We're talking about getting decent tones for something, right? So the biggest problem that I find with people is that they practice at their house in the room all the time, and they're working on different sounds, and they get everything just right. It sounds perfect. And they have it, their guitar, it's got lots of lows, lots of highs, has a lot of edge to it and all of those things. And then you at some point get asked to jam, or you get asked to play in a band, or you get asked to do an open mic. And a lot of people are using these modelers or floorboards or stuff like the Tone X and those things. And they dial in their sound so it sounds great, quiet at their house. And the problem that they get is when they go to play live, it sounds muddy across the board. Why do you think that would be? Why do you think that when you had something that sounds great here, not so good on stage? If it was an amp, it would make sense because you're not pushing the speaker. The more you push a speaker, the more bass goes into it. So the more you have that, cranking up, those speakers are adding low end. They've removed it when your speaker's not being pushed, right? So all your sounds, what you're doing, if you're at home, you're playing quietly with your amp, and you find yourself cranking that bass up to make it sound great, right? Oh, there it sounds good. And then when you get that chance to go, and 9 times out of 10, I hear people say, I go, how did it go? How did it go? Well, I couldn't hear myself, right? All the time, couldn't hear myself. Right? So then I turned up, and then what happened? Everybody else turned up. And now I still couldn't hear myself, but all I could hear was them really loud. Now my ears are ringing, So I was telling a student this the other day. I still have my Fender is a Vibrolux 210 that I used to play all the time when we were playing around. And I never touched the treble or the middle. I would touch the volume depending on the venue we're in, and I would touch the bass. And the louder that amp got, the more bass I rolled off. Or if we were in a boomy room, right? A lot of reflections, that bass is going down. If we were in a boomy room with a lot of reflections, my reverb is going to go down too. I don't need as much. The more reverb you put into it, the more delays. If you're in a boomy room, no one's going to hear you, right? So you may have a natural reverb in the room already. Now, if I did it for an effect, that's one thing, but you're talking about the mix of the instruments. And that's the biggest problem. It's going from your house to having a mix of instruments. If you've ever gotten into, Phil says he used Reaper, right? So if you ever get into mixing your own music, it's not about putting frequencies in when you EQ. It's about taking them away, right? So you might have a big buildup of mud, boxiness around like 400, 400, 3, 4, 500, and you might scoop that out. Now all of a sudden you can hear your guitar, because the guitar has frequencies fairly high, not as high as the cymbals and all those things, but fairly high. And it goes pretty low, not all the way down to bass, but pretty low. But what you find out is the lower mids on the bass and the lower mids, upper high, lower mids on the guitar, they occupy the same space. So if you've got a nice loud bass player and you don't have enough bite to your into your sound, you're going to be lost in the mud. So it's all about carving something for you. If you hear this, this is just a pedal that I put on top of this clean sound. Here's the clean sound, and here's the pedal. Notice it has a lot of to it, a lot of throatiness to it, right? It's a lot of mids in there, because that, and it may not sound, you might think, oh, that doesn't sound so good here. It doesn't sound like this incredible thing. But in a mix, when I put that in with keyboards and bass and vocals and drums and all those things, this is able to be heard because of the way because of the EQ curve from it. So I'm not putting tons of low into it. I'm making sure that it's a little nasal, not too much. Now, where you would say, oh, that's nasal sounding, but you hear that it's got a little something to it. And what I found with that is when I go and I play, I don't have to turn up as much as I once did. If the drums are playing loud and everything's playing loud, I can just turn up just till I'm about even with them, and the frequencies that I use occupy their own space. So I don't have to kill it to be heard. You can always hear my guitar because I'm paying very special attention to EQing it the right way where it breaks through. We've had a bunch of these come in here. Let's see here. Okay, so Evan says my Classic 30 has a master volume mod, so I use that home and for gigs. Yeah, Classic 30, I used one for a long time. I actually had a Classic 20. I had a littler one too. And a friend of mine had a Classic 50 with the 412s on it. After those, I moved to the Fender DeVilles. I had a Hot Rod DeVille, the 212 is the one that I had there. John says, no, that's okay, man. We know what you mean. But plus, when you're practicing the bass fills out the sound. You don't need that with full band where the bass is carrying the low end. Right. You want to find your space there. So, I'm winding down now. We have about 5 minutes or so. And Dean's got to go too. He's got a business call. Good to see you, man. Thanks for hanging out today. Phil says, I have a brand new RP1000 effects processor still in the box. Going to have to use it sometime. I find life easier using the Reaper DAW and plugins. Yeah. I think once you start getting opportunities to play, to jam or play live and those things, that kind of changes. You know, I have this whole thing here with my DAW and I have a direct, everything you're hearing is direct here. So this is a Boss IR200 and then a Line 6 HX effects on that. So it's all digital. It's all going through there, and recorded sounds fantastic. Live, a lot of places now, you can go direct. I've got the direct stuff too, but most of the places, especially for blues jams and those things, still use amplifiers. And if you show up to an amplifier with a direct thing, you're going to be getting blown away by all the amplifiers and not being able to hear yourself very well. So okay. All right. Well, any questions, go ahead and throw them in there. I'd like to hear about your Digitech RP 1000 next time, which will be tomorrow. So we'll be back the same time tomorrow, 4:30 tomorrow. We're just going through different rhythm guitar things. This is, and you know, rightly so, because the rest of the year is going to be lead guitar and blues guitar and those things. So I really want to spend a little time on rhythm today. I thought talking about tones a little bit and thinking about that. What are your tones? You know, do you just have one, or do you have different ones for different things? But anyway, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Evan's got to go. He's back to work tomorrow, so you may miss the live stream. Well, that's okay. You just pop in if you can. You can just give us one of these. Warren says thanks. Thank you, Warren. Good to see you. Thanks for hanging out with me today. This was fun. Let's see here. I got a bunch all coming at the same time. Phil says, cheers. So glad I joined the Academy last week. Yes, it's going to be, I'll tell you, you joined at a good time. There's going to be there's a lot of stuff coming in the Academy. So a lot of plans, a lot of changes coming. So, and good stuff. I'm excited about it too. Steven says, thanks, Lee. See you all tomorrow. Thank you. Hope you're doing good. Evan says, good stuff. And tone all over the place. That's right. Okay. Well, I'll see y'all tomorrow. Same time, around 4:30. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye, everybody.